Do you think that the fighting nerds were exposed a little bit tonight?
You can't counter strike when you're leaning back. Just doesn't work.
If you are not the better striker and you're not the faster fighter, you can't have a clean fight. Let's get on to the main event. You got Nasruddin Imavov versus Kai Bahalo. John, do you think that the fighting nerds were exposed a little bit tonight? That's one question.
Okay.
Two is Kai Bahalo what we thought he was?
Yes, he's a good fighter, and I think he proved that tonight. Like, he took some big shots.
Yeah, he did,
and he hung in there throughout it. But when you talk about, and he talked about his fight IQ and these different things that are going on, and I think he does have a good fight IQ. But placement and positioning in fighting is a lot of how you're either successful or you're not. And if you take just take a look at the body posture of Nasruddin Imavov during that fight, and take a look at the body posture of Kai Borralho.
It's funny you say that, because I was going to get into that too, but no, please carry on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. In my mind, that posture said a lot.
It said everything. It says everything, Josh, and you know that. Mm-hmm. And when I'm leaning back all the time, and I'm in this position where I'm leaning back, and then I try to come forward, I'm telegraphing when I'm coming. I'm doing all these things that are just giving my opponent a cue on when is my attack coming. And while my opponent, he's not in that same position. He's got weight on the front leg. He's forward facing. He is in a posture and position to where his strikes are coming fast. He's got fast hands anyways. I think the kick at the very beginning that started it off, when it hit Borralho to the body, it almost made him in. From that point, I saw him. He's stepping backwards, and he is a forward-facing, forward-marching fighter. That's when he's doing well. Mm-hmm. And he's not that guy that is the greatest counter striker. You can counter strike. I don't care what they said on the coach said on the fucking thing, but you can't counter strike when you're leaning back. It just doesn't work. You can,
John.
Hold on.
You got to be the faster fighter.
Exactly. You can take and time someone and make that movement back and have it and that you're coming forward as it's coming back, and it's going to work for you. But when you're not the faster guy, it's not easy to do that way. And that's exactly what I was getting into. He wasn't the faster guy. Imavov actually had the faster hands. He was the faster fighter overall. I thought, there was moments when I thought Borralho looked good. I think I gave him the third round. That was the one round that I gave him. But other than that, it was I had it 49-46, and I thought Nasruddin Imavov has really evolved as a fighter also. The way that he relaxes in the fight, he didn't. If you can remember when he first was in the UFC, he pushed things and then he got tired, and he would overextend at times. He doesn't do it. All the mistakes that you could look and say, well, here's where someone can take advantage of. Here. He sealed a lot of those problems up. Mm-hmm. And he's a dangerous fighter. I truly believe he's one of the more difficult fights that Chimaev would have, based upon his ability to wrestle and his ability to strike the way he does. And now that he's comfortable, he's the real deal. He belongs where he's at.
So Kai Bahalo is what we thought he was. He's good, just couldn't figure out the riddle of Imavov tonight.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a good fighter. You can't take anything away from him. This is his ninth fight. He's 8-1 now in the UFC. He's a hell of a fighter. It's that, everyone meets that one person that just what they do causes them problems, and there's answers for it. But sometimes you can't get those answers during the fight. And I think that was, I thought Borralho, he showed me heart. He showed me, he was not giving up at any point. And I can, I'll point out, the fight before it, we're going to talk about, you could see Rufi gave up. Mm-hmm. He gave up. You could see it. And that's because it was like nothing was working for him. He was having problems, and it's like he fell apart. Bahalo never fell apart. He was in it to the end. Not that he was winning, but he was in it, and he was doing some good work at times, just not enough to win the fight.
Mm-hmm. The posture was a huge deal to me because
Huge.
that, like I said, if you're the faster fighter, you can get away with leaning back. Israel Adesanya gets away with it sometimes leaning back. He's the longer fighter on top of being sometimes the faster fighter.
Yeah.
So that works in those scenarios. That was bothering me. Like if you're not the faster guy, if you're not the better striker, like you can't lean back like that. You've got to be in the face and in the grill. Now, that being said, if you listen between rounds, I did hear a comment from Kai Bahalo's corner. It's a clean fight. We can't have a clean fight.
That's true.
If you are not the better striker and you're not the faster fighter, you can't have a clean fight.
No,
you need to make it a dirty, grimy fight. And that's what I saw. I saw every time he was having success is when he got into those exchanges. Now, he did get clipped sometimes.
Sure.
But you've got to take those chances. A loss is a loss. An L next to your name is still an L. It doesn't matter how you did it. It doesn't matter if you got knocked out. It doesn't matter if you got submitted. It doesn't matter if you lose by decision. Whatever. It's still an L next to your name. He had moments, just he didn't create enough moments. He didn't take the chances that he need. Do I think he is what we think that most people thought he was? I absolutely think he is. I'm not going to disrespect him because he lost to the number one guy, the number one contender. I'm not going to disrespect him like that. The guy is extremely talented. He's got to make a couple changes here and there, just tweaks, nothing major.
Yeah, that's exactly
nothing
it.
Major.
You know, little tweaks make big differences throughout a 25-minute fight.
Absolutely. He kept shooting doubles. No. Let's go ahead and shoot and let's just drop down and try and get into a high crotch position and snatch a single leg. Let's do something like that. Like, let's just go into the single and see if we can lift and scoop. Like anything along those lines. Let's see if we can get Imavov to get his back to the fence and then drop down on a double, then switch to a single, then go back to a double. It was none of those things were ever made. The foot sweep, you can only try so many times. Yeah. If you went foot sweep and you didn't get it, then you got to go right to inside trip. You've got to learn to chain things together. And I didn't see that tonight from him. He looked a little lost, but I want to give credit to Imavov. It has to do with the level of which he's grown since he first came into the UFC. He looked amazing tonight. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Everything was clean, crisp. Like you said, John, the cardio was on point. He was relaxed. I go back to a couple, and I use myself as an example because I don't like to use other people because they're like, oh, no, it wasn't like that. I use myself because the way that I moved around so much in my first fight with Gilbert, it worked for me. The second fight, I moved around like that, and Gilbert fought the way that Imavov fought tonight. He stopped moving around so much and just became a stationary target, but he also came out a little bit, and not a lot of moving around. I had hard times with that. He was a very composed fighter, very relaxed. Even when there was a moment where he hit me in the nuts, he walked over to his corner and sat down on one knee and took some deep breaths. He slowed his heart rate down. He stayed composed the whole time. I saw that from Imavov tonight. Just everything was like, I'm good. Go back. That says so much about a fighter and how dialed in they are into what their goal is. Their goal is to win the fight no matter what. Don't let anything outside distract you. And at no point was Imavov ever distracted. He understood what the goal was. The goal was to win the fight. The goal was, and I know everyone says, oh, well, my goal was to win the fight. No, you're right. But there's other distractions. You're allowing the crowd to get involved. You're allowing, oh, he hit me. Now I'm talking back to him. You're allowing the ref sometimes. John, how many times have you had a fighter go, oh, yeah, like he's hitting me. Hey, what's going on? They're talking to you more than they're worried about their opponent.
Which tells you that's exactly what Rufy was doing against Saint Denis. And you go, dude, you're not there.
You're not as focused.
Too many times.
You're not as focused as the guys like Saint Denis, not as focused as the guys like Imavov. You can just see it when nothing distracts them and they're just laser focused in on what's going on inside the fight.
They truly don't give a shit about anything else.
They don't care.
That's it.
And I saw that tonight by Imavov. He looked great. Now, do I think it's going to be enough to warrant a title shot? I don't know. It really comes down to the RDR and the Fluffy Hernandez fight. It really is going to come down to that. But that fight is going to be a fucking slobber knocker.
I think so.
This fight was a great fight. It was a very technically sound fight. I thought it was dominated by Imavov, but was it going to be enough to get him a title shot? I think he is. I think Imavov probably out of the three other fighters, Fluffy and RDR and Kai Bahalo, I think Imavov probably has the best chance of beating Chimaev. I mean, it's going to be close between him and the winner of this RDR. RDR, to me, we can get into this. It's a whole separate conversation. Let me just wrap up on this. Great performance by Imavov. Very focused, very dialed in. Bahalo is exactly who we thought he was.
Yeah.
Okay. He just needs to make a couple little tweaks here and there.
Yep.
Make, and work on things
Go
to chain
regroup
things together. Yeah,
Yep.
that's all.
Just
Look, he's got a bright future ahead of him. He's still got plenty of time to make another run, maybe even 3, 2 or 3 more runs.
Yeah.
So he's got time. I think this was a good fight. It was a good main event. They had some good exchanges, and I expected the first round was a little fill out process. There's a lot at stake, and when there's a lot of words being exchanged, between countries and teams,
that's building of
that's building of fights. But I'm saying it does get to you in that first round. That's why we saw a very lackluster first round. But overall, I thought the fight was a very good fight. The right person won. Kai Bahalo just needs to make a couple tweaks, and we'll see him back, and he'll be making another run. He'll be making I'm looking forward to seeing Kai Bahalo and what changes he'll make, because he couldn't get the takedowns where everyone thought he'd possibly be able to. I literally did a show with Angelo, and he's like, "Oh, well, Imavov lost a takedown of Brendan Allen." I'm like, Kai Bahalo doesn't have the wrestling of Brendan Allen.
Nope.
Brendan Allen can fucking wrestle. He can grapple. He can stand. His stand-up's gotten better. They're just different fighters, and you can't compare that. You can't compare those two things. Oh, he lost takedowns to Brendan Allen. I don't give a shit. That's not what's going to happen. And sure enough, it's funny. I've got my screenshot that I saved to rub it in Angelo's face, about that. But I think overall, this was a very contested fight. It was a very good fight. Imavov fought a very great performance. So looking to see what happens between the RDR and the Fluffy fight, because that'll obviously be the deciding factor for Dana White on who gets the title shot.
I agree. I think Imavov obviously looks at it like, I deserve the title shot. It should be mine. And I understand why. And look, that was a good enough performance where, yeah. But if I was Dana, I would sit there and I wouldn't say a word. I would just let it go.
I mean, John,
then make up
Imavov has been the number one contender for over almost a year now.
Yeah.
It's been that long. And so he in reality does deserve it.
Oh, he deserves it. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying, I don't think you're going to hear that, tomorrow that he's going to be matched up with Cosmo.
No. I wonder what it is. Why do they not? I don't want to say they don't like him, but there's not a push for that.
I think it's based upon, earlier in his career, there was a lot of decisions, a lot of, he was obviously we all thought he's good, but there was some hangups with things, and he lost some fights. He lost to Sean Strickland. You look and you go, should he have, should the guy that we thought he was, should he beat Sean Strickland? Well, Sean's tough in the stand-up, and if you're not going to get the fight to the ground, then you're going to have problems. But he lost to Phil Hawes. You see, and those are the setbacks. Like that one right there. There's no way in the world the UFC is looking and saying they believe Phil Hawes is a better fighter in MMA than Nasruddin Imavov. Yeah. But when you lose to him, well, that's a big setback.
Yeah.
It's a big setback. So I think those are the things that have kind of held him back a little bit.
Completely different fighter, though, than when he fought Phil Hawes.
Oh, absolutely.
Completely different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, though.